What's going on, guys? Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here with the latest Browns news and rumors surrounding a potential reunion between Cleveland and Takk McKinley after he ruptured his Achilles at the end of last season. He's rehabbing, and it looks like the Browns might be interested in bringing him back. Plus, ESPN picked Nick Chubb as an MVP candidate. So we're going to break that down, along with how Perrion Winfrey is still not signed his contract. Is that concerning? We'll end the show on that. But first, I just want to say thank you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, to all 10,000 plus of you who have subscribed to the channel. We crossed that milestone the other day. Producer Marshall Green and I went out to get some drinks to do so. So I really want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed. And here's what I'm going to do. For the next 10 videos starting today, I will end each video with one reason, or building up to 10, why the Browns will win the AFC North. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Over the course of the next 10 videos, we will have a reason of why the Browns are going to win the division this season. But let's jump into the latest news and rumors, starting with the Takk McKinley story, because on Twitter the other day, over the weekend, saw Brad Stainbrook tweeting out, source, Takkarist McKinley is doing great rehab-wise. I'm told he has transformed his body and is on a mission to be an impact player this season. Right now, I'll tell you this, that's probably exactly what the agent just texted Brad to, juice up his client a little bit. Now, he also went on to say there's mutual interest existing between Takk and the Browns. The plan as of now is to join a team during training camp if possible, or during the season. I love how that's the plan. Like, of course you want to go play for a team. But Takk last season for the Browns, which was kind of like a halfway house, almost like a rehab for some defensive ends. I mean, McKinley, a former first-round pick for the Falcons, didn't work out. And then Clowney, who was kind of on the last stage of his career, it looked like, after how he played in Tennessee and Seattle. Both guys kind of saved their careers, so to speak. McKinley going off for 2.5 sacks as a rotational piece. You'll take that, right? A forced fumble. I mean, when he came in there, he made some big plays at times, and to get that out of a player who isn't even a part of the starting lineup, yeah, you'll be very happy with those kind of production and numbers. But I'll let you guys be the judge here. Should the Browns re-sign Takk? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no. I'm really curious what you guys have to say about this one, because the Browns don't have a luxury of open roster spots, right? This is not a bottom-feeding team that's going to have plenty of jobs up for grabs here. Because when you look at the depth chart, I know we rag on the interior defensive line, but just focus on the defensive ends for a moment. You've got locks like Myles Garrett, Clowney, Alex Wright, and Chase Winovich to make the roster. That's 4 guys right there that, no matter what, are going to make this roster. So Stephen Weatherly is kind of on the bubble. You got a 7th-round pick in Thomas. You signed Rochelle in free agency. I would love to see McKinley play in the NFL. I don't know if it's going to be the Browns necessarily. But I will kind of wrap up with this. I think Takk is probably the 91st man on this roster, meaning if/when a training camp injury happens and Andrew Berry has an extra spot just to bring someone else in, I wouldn't be shocked if he brings Takk in. Not necessarily so he can see if he can make this Browns roster, because coming off an Achilles injury, I mean, Olivier Vernon hasn't played in the NFL since his Achilles injury. It's not an easy injury to bounce back from, especially a little bit later in your career. But I wouldn't be blown away if Andrew Berry brings Takk in so we can toss him in some preseason games, get some tape out for the guy, and another team might go and sign Takk because they are a little short at defensive end. All right, next up on the show, Nick Chubb. Is he an MVP candidate? It's difficult to win the MVP award when you are not a quarterback, but ESPN included Nick Chubb in this discussion. So let's break it down here, because Nick Chubb was one of their 13 MVP candidates, which is pretty nice to say, right? I mean, if anything, if he even doesn't win the MVP award, at least he's getting recognition, not necessarily as a legitimate MVP guy, but as a legitimate, amazing running back in the NFL who probably does not get enough respect. Now, here's what ESPN said in their article. If quarterback Deshaun Watson, who has been accused in civil lawsuits by 25 women of actions ranging from sexual assault to inappropriate behavior during massage sessions, gets suspended for the 2022 season, the Cleveland offense will fall on Chubb's shoulders. We already know what Chubb is capable of executing, although he has only managed to make it through 16 games once as a pro. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Chubb just deserves more credit, period. I think we can all agree that he's always the guy at the top of the pro. Like something you go on Twitter and you're like, running backs who have this many yards after contact. Nick Chubb is always at the top of that list. But mentally, I don't think he's high up on enough random NFL fans' list of great running backs in the league. Now, here's what ESPN also said. Take running into loaded boxes when the other team has more defenders in the box than would-be blockers. The average running back averaged 3.7 yards per carry in those situations a year ago. Chubb carried the ball 63 times in those situations for 435 yards. Good for nearly 7 yards per carry. He ran for 153 yards over the expectations of the NFL Next Gen Stats model and 8 additional first downs over what an average back would have expected to do in those spots. Chubb's a beast. You don't need me to tell you that. You know what I'm saying? If I'm telling you that for the first time, that's a bit concerning because we have seen, starting from his rookie season, where he came up 4 yards short of being a 1,000-yard rusher. And if he picked up 4 more yards, this is a guy who has rushed for 1,000 yards in 4 consecutive seasons to start his career. Now, the injuries, well, back into 2020 and going into 2021, yeah, when you get fed the rock that much, you're going to get some bruises and some nicks along the way. Never really had an injury for Nick Chubb where I was concerned about his longevity in his career or anything like that. But Nick Chubb, yes, even if he does not win the MVP award, I am glad that just more eyeballs outside of Cleveland are on this guy so he can get the recognition that he deserves. But let's play a quick game here. Over or under time? Over or under, I don't know, say a random number. 1,494 yards, which may be his career high in a season back in 2019. I don't know. But let me know. Would you take over or under 1,494 yards this season for Chubb? I'm going to add this really quickly, by the way. Deshaun Watson is not a power run style of a quarterback in an offense, and that's what Nick Chubb thrived under with Baker Mayfield, right? With Watson, you're going to expect to see a lot more shotgun snaps, a lot more of a spread, and that favors more of the Kareem Hunts of the world as opposed to a Nick Chubb. Now, Nick Chubb's a pro, so he's not in a box where he's like, well, if I don't line up 5 yards behind the quarterback, I don't know how to play this position. No, you got to the NFL because you do a lot of things very, very well. So I'm not overly concerned about Chubb maybe not being the best schematical fit for this offense because that's why he's one of the best running backs in the league. He can adjust, he can adapt. But I do think Kareem Hunt is a guy to keep an eye on for in terms of who might actually benefit more from the adjustment from Baker Mayfield to Deshaun Watson. All right, last story on today's show. Perrion Winfrey has yet to sign his contract with the Browns. Now, usually this is not a story, but we're getting close to training camp. So now it's sort of becoming a story because rookies tend to, have their agents play poker with the GM, and it always gets sorted out. But he's the only rookie on the Browns roster who has not signed his contract yet. And training camp opens up on July 26th, which is 9 days away from when we are filming right now. Now, Mike Garafolo back in June, keep in mind, had an interesting tweet that correlates to Perrion Winfrey. 4th-round picks have been the slowest to agree to deals in large part because the Texans gave running back Dameon Pierce a second pick in the round, an extra $25,000 over the minimum. So now every agent behind him is asking for the same. And then he showed a graphic below, but that was a month and change ago, so I don't think that was very relevant today. But it is interesting to see you've got maybe a bit of a battle between Winfrey's agent and Andrew Berry to get something figured out or done here. Listen, ultimately, where I stand on this, Perrion Winfrey, Andrew Berry, get it done. Please do not linger into training camp and have a 4th-round pick hold out at a position of need. I know, I've never been an NFL player, so I don't know what these contract negotiations are like for players and not wanting to be screwed over and they want to get their money and they want to get what they're owed. I understand that. But at the same time, when you're a 4th-round pick, sure, you may have been the most exciting pick in this Browns draft class because you were mocked to go in the 2nd and you fell to Cleveland at 4. But do you really want to play with fire here and be a 4th-round pick that has a big ego and a big head and goes, nope, I'm not going to show up. I'm going to hold out. They need me more than I need them. I don't know, Perrion. This is the NFL. Life moves pretty quickly. All right, but let's spam his jersey number down in the comments. If you're excited to see Perrion Winfrey play this season, bring that tenacity, bring that dog in him to the Dawg Pound, spam 97 down in the comments section. Like I said, we're going to be doing 10 reasons why the Browns will win the AFC North this year over the next 10 videos. And reason number 1, the Browns have the best quarterback in the division. Yep, I said it. Over, I know, Mitch Trubisky, right, who is a legend, but over Lamar Jackson and over Joe Burrow. Now, it's tough to say this because you didn't get to see Deshaun play last season, and Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl. So I understand the train of thought of, no, I'll take Joe Burrow, or no, I'll take Lamar, who's won an MVP. But what Deshaun Watson did in 2020, when he led the NFL in passing with 4,800 yards, a superb touchdown to interception ratio of 33-7, but still being very efficient on the ground as well, averaging nearly 5 yards a pop, going for 444 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And you know who he didn't have to throw to? He didn't have a Jamar Chase. He did not have a Boyd, okay? He didn't have a Higgins. Now, Lamar's never had anyone, but people are sleeping on Deshaun Watson. I really do believe that he's going to remind everyone, hey, I led the NFL in passing just 2 years ago. Imagine what I can do in a better run organization now under Andrew Berry compared to Bill O'Brien, who traded his best wide receiver away for a bag of peanuts and David Johnson. No, I think Andrew Berry is going to be a lot better of a GM for Deshaun Watson, and you're going to see, I know it's like Amari Cooper is not a better wide receiver than where Jamar Chase is headed in his career, but Joe Burrow said himself, sometimes I just say F it and throw it up to Jamar Chase. Watson didn't have that in 2020. No offense to Brandon Cooks, but Brandon Cooks is a really, really good wide receiver 2. I don't think he is a wide receiver 1. I don't think he is a top 16 wide receiver in the NFL. And so if that's your number 1 wideout, which is still a good wideout, but you managed to lead the NFL in passing with a dog shit kind of organization and roster around you, yeah, I'll take you over any other quarterback in the AFC North any day of the week. But who is the best quarterback? Is it Deshaun Watson? Could it be Cool Joe or Lamar Jackson or Mitch? MVP. That's what I'll say about Mitch. MVP right there. Let me know by putting the jersey number for which player you think is the best quarterback in the division down below. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us on today's show. If you haven't already, make sure to follow me on Twitter at Matthew Petey. I tweet about the Browns, the NFL, and all that good stuff, so hit me up over there.